Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. President Trump is striking a much more conciliatory tone than he did on the campaign trail. At the end of 2 days of meetings in China, the president said he doesn't blame the superpower for a massive trade imbalance with the United States. This comes as the president is working to get China to increase pressure on North Korea over its nuclear weapons program. Heather Sells is on this story.
President Trump called the $350 million trade deficit with China very one-sided and unfair, but he added it's not China's fault.
I don't blame China. After all, who can blame a country for being able to take advantage of another country for the benefit of its citizens? I give China great credit.
It was an important moment and quite the opposite of Trump's rhetoric on the campaign trail last year when he said China was getting away with murder on trade. But now trade is just one piece of the conversation with China. The president also wants it to apply pressure on North Korea. He specifically wants China and all countries to cut off trade with the nuclear regime. That's no easy task, says Regent University's Eric Patterson, who says the Chinese president is very powerful in China right now.
He's laid out an agenda for China to be the superpower of the next century. Trump's got to figure out a way to negotiate with a very, very strong China on the North Korea issue.
North Korea does about 90% of its trade with China, and China has repeatedly pushed back at claims that it should do more to rein in the regime. Chinese have worked hard to welcome the president, who posted this video on his Twitter account of school children cheering in a formal ceremony outside of Beijing's Great Hall of the People. He and the First Lady also enjoyed a personal tour of the Forbidden City. But did he make any progress on North Korea? The president made it clear that the two leaders talked about it and that China understands the need for UN resolutions aimed at depriving the North of revenue for its nuclear ambitions.
We agreed on the need to fully implement all UN Security Council resolutions on North Korea and to increase economic pressure until North Korea abandons its reckless and dangerous path.
The president heads next to Vietnam for the final leg of his Asia trip. The Kremlin says Russian President Vladimir Putin will meet with Trump there. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Islamic State militants have withdrawn from their last stronghold in Syria. That is according to a human rights group based in Britain. The group says ISIS withdrew from the stronghold after a government offensive strike. All remaining ISIS militants are now thought to be in small towns and villages along the border of Iraq and in the Syrian desert. The Senate plans to unveil its version of tax reform today as House Ways and Means Committee members put the finishing touches on their bill released last week. Abigail Robertson brings us the latest on what to expect from the Senate's tax plan.
Republican senators are taking note on the reaction to the House tax plan, from talk of tax brackets to what deductions are at stake. Senator Rob Portman, who sits on the Senate Finance Committee, tells me while the overall framework of the two bills will be very similar, there are some differences.
Both have a similar structure, which is to provide middle-class tax relief, to help encourage more jobs and investment, and to level the playing field internationally.
One potential difference: will the Senate push to delay lowering the corporate tax rate from 35% to 20% to ease the impact on the national deficit?
We don't know yet. My sense is it'd be better to do things quickly rather than waiting, and also not to phase it out, but rather to keep it in place permanently.
Senator Portman's biggest push is simplification.
Doubling the standard deduction really helps. This means that people up to $24,000 a family are going to be able to have a standard deduction. They don't have to go through all the process of figuring out their itemized deductions and so on. This is why people will be able to do their return on one page, most people.
One difference Portman hopes to see in the Senate bill is preserving the child adoption tax credit.
I think it's an important tax credit, and my hope is we'll be able to work with that. We also hope to be able to expand the child tax credit substantially.
Congressman Chris Smith first introduced the adoption credit in 1990 and eventually saw it enacted 6 years later. He says restoring the credit in the House bill is important because 74,000 people benefited from it last year alone.
I'm always confident that if we work hard and we make our case, very compassionate people, and the speaker is a compassionate speaker, will be persuaded. And then there's always the Senate. So it's a process. We need to encourage adoption. It is a loving option to get kids in homes.
Meanwhile, a House committee vote stopped a Democratic attempt to take the repeal of the Johnson Amendment out of the tax plan. But that fight is far from over. If Republicans hope to put a tax reform bill on the president's desk by the end of this year, they'll have to pass identical bills in both chambers. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Vice President Mike Pence spent Wednesday in the Texas town where a shooter killed 26 people in a church on Sunday. Pence and his wife Karen visited the victims' families of the massacre at First Baptist Church in Southern Springs. He said he was impressed by the strength and courage displayed by the wounded and the grieving families. In the evening, that town gathered for a prayer vigil where Pence and Texas Governor Greg Abbott joined local leaders to remember the fallen. Pence said the town's faith will overcome the darkness of the shooter's evil act.
And we grieve with those who grieve, but we do not grieve like those who have no hope. Whatever animated the evil that descended on that church last Sunday, if the attacker's desire was to silence their testimony of faith, he failed. The voice of faith, the witness of faith in that small church in that small town now echoes across the world.
Pence told the crowd that all of America stands with them and will remember the victims of this tragedy. The world remained stunned at the murder of 26 people inside a Texas church Sunday, among them Joanne Ward and 2 of her 4 children. As the shooter stalked the church, Joanne told her oldest child, Rohanna, to hide. She then scooped up the other 3 and laid on top of them on the floor. Vonda Smith is a close friend of Joanne and her family. She joins us now to tell us more about this courageous mother and her faith. Vonda, how did you know Joanne?
I met Joanne when I moved to the area 3 years ago, and I started talking to her on Facebook. And we decided that since we got along so well, we would form a little group because a bunch of us had started talking, and we just wanted to meet in real life. So that's how we became friends.
Wow. Can you describe what you know of what happened to her and her children that morning?
In a nutshell, all I really know is from what Rihanna has told me. Rihanna explained the situation as soon as I got to the hospital after the shooting. We were notified. And Rihanna, the first thing she said to me was, I didn't get shot like the others because Mama threw me on the floor and I was hiding. And she was, of course, shaken up, crying. And she proceeded to tell me the rest, that she said that once she was on the floor, she Joanne scooped up their other 3 children, and who was Ryland and Emily and Brooke, and just covered them with her body. So I don't know where they were or how it happened, but she scooped them up and just enveloped them. So she was very, very heroic, in my opinion, just like a mother would do.
Joanne sacrificed her life to save her children, but from what it sounds like, that's the kind of mother she was.
Oh, without a doubt. Everyone that knew her knew what an amazing mother she was. She always had her children's best interest at heart. She was always pouring into her children, spending time with them. Everywhere she went, her children went. This was not the kind of mother that could go to lunch with you and just have a conversation with you and forget her children. That never happened. That's not Joanne. Joanne had to be taking care of her children. And maybe if she could work you in, then you got a conversation with her.
Now, her husband was at home on Sunday morning after working a night shift. Now he and the children are facing a horrible time. How would you encourage others to pray for them?
It's life-shattering for him. He he hasn't been doing well. Just pray for strength and comfort and guidance, and that the Lord would draw him near and that he would seek God through this. That's my hope in this whole thing, is that the people that have been affected would turn to the Lord, because he's our only hope. He's our only salvation in all of this, because he didn't intend this evil to happen. We're living in a fallen world, and it is what it is. You know, the devil entered in, and we have, greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. And that's the thing that I want people to walk away from, is that this should draw them to their creator. This should draw them to the person that made them, because the evil is so evident that you don't want to be a part of that.
Absolutely
It should make you run hardcore to God.
Vonda Smith, thank you so much for putting a face with the name and sharing that story. We really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Coming up, wake-up call. See why the Israeli Prime Minister is sounding the alarm about a recent resignation. Stay with us. There's much more of CBN NewsWatch straight ahead. One of the most common requests of persecuted Christians is for fellow believers to simply pray for them. Well, Voice of the Martyrs, Open Doors, and several organizations are partnering together to answer that call. This Sunday, they're calling on Christians to participate in the International Day of Prayer and encouraging churches worldwide to pray that God will give the persecuted even more faith and endurance. You can go to idop.com to find out more about how you can stand with the persecuted church. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls the resignation of Lebanon's Prime Minister a wake-up call for the world. Chris Mitchell reports why it's another sign of Iran's desire to dominate the Middle East.
When Israelis and Arabs, and it's all the Arabs and the Israelis, agree on one thing, people should pay attention. We should stop this Iranian takeover.
Netanyahu spoke to the BBC after Lebanese Prime Minister Saad Hariri's surprise resignation over fear of a possible assassination attempt. Hariri resigned in a televised address from Saudi Arabia, a longtime U.S. ally that's spearheading the Arab world's campaign against Iran. He accused Iran of making a regional power grab and that Iran's powerful Lebanese proxy Hezbollah had taken over his country.
The fact that Hariri said the truth about Iran and Hezbollah is very important.
This is a clear reaction to the encroachment of Iran in the region.
Hezbollah is part of the Lebanese government, but also has more than 100,000 rockets pointed at Israel. Thousands of its soldiers also fight for Iran's ally, Syrian President Bashar Assad.
We have to admit, Lebanon is not a state. It's a unique creature which is run by Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is run by Iran. So at the end of the day, it's an Iranian tool in the Middle East, not just against Israel, but in the Middle East.
Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah accused Saudi Arabia of pushing the prime minister to resign. Hariri has led Lebanon's coalition government for about a year.
He's a Saudi citizen and he spent many of his years in Saudi Arabia, but he tried at least to work with Hezbollah. He understood there is no way to work with Hezbollah. Either you are completely under their influence or you don't have any right to exist.
Professor Ephraim Inbar of the New Jerusalem Institute for Strategic Studies says there's only one way to deal with Iran.
Probably the only way to stop them is by use of force. I think the Prime Minister probably understands that the West has no intention whatsoever to get involved. And maybe what he does is trying to gain legitimacy for Israeli unilateral actions.
Israeli analysts believe the U.S. and the West won't take a stand against Iran, and it may be up to Israel to take care of the problem. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
He was a 6-year-old street boy in Kenya who rose from the slums to become a millionaire. See why Charles Mully sold everything to return to the streets and become a father to the fatherless. Next. Charles Mully has lived a real-life rags-to-riches story, but at the height of his success, he sold it all to become a father to children living on the streets. His obedience to the call of God is the focus of a film in theaters tonight. Take a look.
Look for the biggest and brightest smile in these family photos, and you'll find Charles Mully. His children, who were once orphans, call him Daddy Mully.
You yourself abandoned as a child?
Yes, correct. As a young child, I woke up one day to find that I was alone at the age of 5, 6 years, and that was my life. No food, nothing that I could lean on, no accommodation, and then I became a street and a beggar. I remember one day I woke up and everybody had gone.
His amazing climb from Kenya's slums is the focus of this feature film, Mully.
And you go from being a beggar to a millionaire.
Sometimes it's so hard for me to measure at that level, but I can acknowledge and say, yes, Lord really lifted me so high through His favor, through the small business that I started.
Small business.
Yeah, small business that I started.
Mullyways Agencies Limited. And then my dad had a monopoly in oil and gas.
It was my time.
Where do you think that drive for you came from, that entrepreneurial drive to want businesses for yourself and to think, I can do more with this. I can take what little is in my hand and do more. Where'd that come from?
When I look at it and I look back, I see God's grace and a plan, and a good plan. As He said that I have a good plan for you, Jeremiah. And then when you look at it, it's like God had a good plan. Why? He was planning for me to become an instrument for the future. When God wants to really to make use of you, there's no way you can escape, even when you try to run away.
Happily married with 8 children, Mully felt God calling them to sell everything. That call came in 1986 after a face-to-face encounter with children begging on the street.
I was really tormented by these boys in the street. I saw faces of me, and I could not walk anymore. I cried, why is it that God wants me to take me back again? I will never, ever work for money again. God was speaking to me this way. You were like them. I saw their...
You were them?
I saw my face in their faces, and because I was trying to hide myself, and I never shared with anybody. I don't remember one day sharing even a testimony about my past. I wanted people to see me a great man with money, with everything.
Dad says that he needed to sell everything and start helping the poor in the society, the children who are abandoned.
How do you let go of what you hold dearly? And how do you decide when to share your love?
He started Mully's Children's Family, now the largest children's rehabilitation organization in Africa.
Growing that family to the size it is today hasn't been an easy process.
Oh, this journey has never been easy. Together with my wife, especially the rejection from our friend, from the churches, those days, they never wanted to hear about anything. They thought I was crazy.
We had 3 children, 4 children, and the number kept on growing.
They said, welcome, this is your family now. These are all your brothers and sisters.
More than 13,000 of Daddy Mully's children have gone on to become doctors, engineers, scientists, teachers, and lawyers.
I see the world, I see Kenya, I see the continent of Africa being transformed through them and through Christ, who strengthened us.
Transformation that began with obedience and led to becoming a father to the fatherless.
Happy to share that some of Daddy Mully's children are actually now living right here in the United States. If you have not seen the film, check it out tonight. We'll be right back. Right now, it's time for your Thursday Thankful. Every day is a day to give thanks, and I hope you'll join me in this prayer of gratitude. Father, while others may only see me through the lens of what they need, you see me for who I really am. Thank you for seeing me. With that undeniable reality, make this a thankful Thursday and a wonderful rest of the week. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about always at cbnnews.com. You can also tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today by emailing us at newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make this a thankful Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.